Hi there, I'm Mary Wanless, founder of the Rider Biomechanics movement and author of the Ride With Your Mind books and DVDs. I teach people to ride with more awareness, feel and skill, so they ride and train their horses more effectively, they feel safer, they have more fun, and all their interactions with their horse become more ethical. We put a questionnaire out on Facebook a while ago, and we've had over 3,500 responses to this. So we've got quite a good little survey here, I think. And the first question was, how long do you think it takes to train a horse to work on the bit? And 5% of people said 1 to 7 days. 8% of people said 3 to 4 weeks. 18% of people said 2 to 3 weeks. And the remaining 69% said more than 6 months. Now, this is actually a really interesting question. And I think the people who've said it takes more time are kind of going on a drip water on the rock kind of philosophy, where things get a tiny bit better and a tiny bit better and a tiny bit better and a tiny bit better, and change takes a long time to happen. For those people, there could be a lot of using their hand and, little bits of feels and fiddling on the rein to try and get the horse's head down. I would have a bit of a different philosophy of this. I would say that getting a horse to come into the carriage and the posture that is generally known as on the bit, and which I like to call the seeking reflexes. So that means his back lifts as he seeks contact with the rider's butt and thigh. His belly expands as he seeks contact more down through the thigh and the lower leg. His neck reaches into the rein as he seeks contact with the bit. And those seeking reflexes, if you're a skilled rider, many horses will come into those reflexes within the first session and maybe even within a few minutes. And what may happen is they get it and they lose it, and they get it and they lose it. And you as the rider get the organization in your body that makes the organization in the horse's body, and then you lose it. And you go right and that gets the horse to go right, and then either maybe you lose it or the horse loses it, and that gets the other one of you to go wrong. And what happens within the first few days and the first few weeks is those responses become more consistent. But the responses don't happen so much in a tiny bit, a tiny bit, a tiny bit, a tiny bit, a tiny bit. It's more that the horse's body is either moving in pattern A, which will usually involve him elongating under his tummy and elongating under his neck and taking a step by elongating all those underneath muscles as the front leg goes forward. Or he moves in pattern B, which involves him elongating over his back with the line of his tummy and his under neck staying shorter. So it could take 3 to 4 weeks before that's getting fairly consistent and where you can do it in all the gaits. Sometimes it's a lot harder in canter than it is in trot, and the canter has to kind of slow down and get a whole load more organized. But it's not a case of months if you have the skill. And if you're thinking of it as gradually better, gradually better, gradually better, gradually better, I would say you have somewhat the wrong philosophy of how change happens. And it's really that you get it, and then you lose it a bit, and you get it, and you lose it a bit, and you get it, and you lose it a bit. So you get it more, lose it less. Muscles are strengthening within that pattern. It begins to come together, and that's how learning and improvement happens. Throughout a horse's working life, muscle development changes as the years go on. This is not just something that happens within the first few weeks of a horse's training, although obviously it's really significant when a horse that has worked in a really hollow-backed, ears coming back towards the rider's chin kind of upside-down posture. When that horse begins to change its carriage, there's obviously a huge muscular demand on that horse. And the way you ride that horse has to work in short bursts, give him loads of rests, really realize there are ethical dimensions to changing a horse's body that much. But as the horse learns to do more direct transitions and to lift the forehand a little bit and transfer a bit more weight back, even as all of that is happening, he's developing gradually physically, and in a way you're like his personal trainer supervising his workouts at the gym. And any of you who've done some training know how important it is to push yourself a little bit but not too much, to really pay attention to your posture as you do various exercises so you don't break yourself, and to do a number of repetitions and a number of sets and not just go and go and go and go and go. So the early stages are particularly important, but throughout a horse's life, how you supervise the development of his strength, of his carriage, of his muscles, of his flexibility is a part of your role as rider and trainer. Part of our survey we just put out about asking riders of their experience of on the bit, we had a final question that says, let us know what you're struggling with currently. And some of the answers to that was, is it safe to be on the bit most of the time? My horse has a very slight head tilt. I can't maintain it on turns and when circling. My horse hollows or snatches downwards. My horse doesn't seem to be comfortable. Can I build his muscles in a way that make him comfortable? My horse is behind the vertical in trot, but not in canter. My horse just runs off. I can't get half halts to happen. If I use the rein aids, he curls his neck and runs off with me and gets heavy. All the plethora of things that are the grist to the mill of riding and training horses and developing skill. So we are going to be addressing a lot of these issues, I would say pretty much all of these issues actually, in our webinar series about on the bit. Many of you know I prefer the term the seeking reflexes as the horse's body, his back lifts, his ribcage expands as he seeks contact with the rider's butt and thighs, he reaches into the rein. Getting that to happen and beginning to work with all the little tricky things that can go wrong is a big part of what we will do it. And some of the things that can go wrong are often part of what I call the rider's bum print. Like we all have our thumbprint and we all have our bum print. And I've ridden horses that belong to well-known name professional riders and discovered, let's say, that all their horses pulled harder in one rein than the other, or all their horses had a certain problem. And I could say for myself, historically, my bum print would tend to put my horse's quarters to the right. I know how to fix that now, but it took a long time for me to work out that fix and how to get the horse to be really into the rein rather than slightly behind the vertical. All of those things can take a bit of working out, and our own personal foibles and little tricky things in our bodies are a big part of the response that we tend to generate, especially if we do that in horse after horse after horse, which sadly is often the case. So those things can take a little longer to fix. They're problems that lie a little deeper into the onion, but we're going to begin peeling away this onion on the webinars, and I'm sure at some point we will be peeling away the issues that are your personal ones with your horse.